Every Friday evening after work, Mr. Burns undergoes a series of medical treatments designed to cheat death for another week. First, Mr. Burns' chiropractors perform a slight spinal adjustment. Then a team of doctors administers eye drops, painkillers, and a vocal cord scraping.
Don't worry, you won't feel a thing till I jam this down your throat.
The whole ordeal leaves Mr. Burns twisted and disoriented.
Hello.
All right, people, I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. It is June 26, 2024. That's right, people. It's my birthday, 48 years young, and we've got the balloons to prove it. And we've got a jam-packed show for you. And then we've got a big Dave Rubin party here at the house later tonight. There will be steak and tequila for all. And let's just dive right in because I got my birthday present a little bit early because yesterday was the primary in New York 16. It's a fairly small district with only about 50,000 people who vote, barely that actually. But Jamaal Bowman, one of the members of the squad, an absolute progressive maniac, a neo-racist, I would say, hyperbolic lunatic. Just look at some of the videos that we've showed you over the last couple of days. I mean, just really just sort of the worst sort of race-baiting progressive that I am constantly trying to mock on this show, and the type of people who have just ruined so much of the good stuff of America. Well, he was defeated in the Democrat primary, and this is big. It is really big. It is a signal. Not that the Democrats are sane or that you should vote for Democrats or anything else, but that in their own primary, they saw somebody who was so freaking fringe, so out there and awful that the Democrats of this district in New York were like, you know what? Enough of that. So yes, that is what happened. Here's some info. Breaking: Jamaal Bowman has been defeated in New York District 16's Democrat primary. George Latimer received about 20,000 votes, which is 55% of total votes. Jamaal Bowman received about 17,000 votes, which is 45%. So less than 40,000 people voted. As I said, this isn't a huge district. Isn't that interesting? That's why I wanted to read those numbers specifically for you, because we put so much emphasis on these people, and we'll show you some of the ways the mainstream media has been stroking Jamaal Bowman and making him this big star. We put so much emphasis on this, and like, you know, you shouldn't care that much if you don't live in the district that he represents, what a congressman in some random district in New York thinks about things. But unfortunately, the way the media elevates a certain set of people and depresses another set of people makes it very important that when the real bad guys are out there, and there's just one, this is just one of that Hamas caucus crew, and by the way, AOC did win her primary in the Bronx yesterday, so it's not like we got everybody. But when you get one out, it is actually important. Dave Rubin, you know this guy? Have you heard of this guy? Dave Rubin had a couple tweets about this last night that I thought were worth repeating. Check this out. Just think, the next time Jamaal Bowman pulls the fire alarm, it'll be at the unemployment office. Breaking: Bowman refuses to concede, cites Palestinian Health Ministry, which has him up 200,000 votes. Breaking: Hamas formally cuts ties with loser Jamaal Bowman and announces he will not receive the 72 virgins. Do we have one more? We got one more. Today is my birthday. In lieu of gifts, I'll be setting up a GoFundMe to send Jamaal Bowman to Gaza. Please donate what you can. All right, that's our show, everybody. I'm out of here. Bowman, of course, in his speech admitting defeat, which I'm glad at least he did do that, he just did the same classless trash, he's the victim BS that we've become accustomed to with these people.
We should not
be well adjusted to a sick society. We should be outraged. We should be outraged when a super PAC of dark money can spend $20 million to brainwash people into believing something that isn't true. We should be outraged about that. We should be outraged when, unfortunately, some so-called Democrats are aligning themselves with radical, racist, right-wing Republicans. We should be outraged about that. And that is why we have so much work still to do. And so, I thank everyone for coming out. Please scream to the top of your lungs for all of the volunteers of the Bowman for Congress campaign, yo. Yeah! Of the Bowman for Congress campaign, yo. Yeah!
Fuck off, loser, you're going home. A couple points that he made there. Yes, you are right, it is a sick society, but you are one of the symptoms of the sickness. You who made your entire campaign about Israel and Gaza instead of the issues that the people of Westchester and the Bronx care about. Actually, George Latimer, the guy who won, he's lived in Westchester his entire life. I think he's about 70 years old. He's well known in Westchester. He didn't really want to get involved in this congressional race at all, but saw the opportunity because you were not addressing any of the things that the people actually care about. You decided to make your entire campaign basically blaming Jews and blaming Israel for everything. Maybe in a place like Westchester, Bronx, New York, that's probably not the best thing. Also, of course, he says that the so-called Democrats aligned with racist Republicans, this is what they do with everything. Of course, it's racism that took you out. Dude, nobody cares about your skin color except you, right? That's how it works. Nobody cares. If you were a good congressman, if you had been perhaps more of a moderate Dem, that flies in New York, not being a crazed Hamas-supporting lunatic, that might have worked. It has nothing to do with that. And they're so-called Dems because they're not progressive whack jobs. That just shows you what they think about the party. And also, of course, we have work to do. Well, actually, that is true because you're going to need a job, fuckface. So you're going to have to get a real job instead of just going on stage and genuflecting and jumping up and down and screaming and cursing at people. So good luck with all of that. Now I want to jump back to why it is, as I said, less than 50,000 people voted in this election. You should not care, right? The system was entirely set up that a congressperson was supposed to really only deal with the things in their district. But unfortunately, because of the way cult of personality works and the media works and everything else, we've blown up certain people that are just so focused on, like Bowman's just one of them. AOC would be, I'd say, the prime example. People who should be only really doing things in their district, but they become these national superstars. And they're really TV characters more than anything else. So check this out, how the machine creates quote unquote stars who just give it what it wants, right? That's what I always tell you about Stephen Colbert. So we're going to show you a Stephen Colbert clip right now. This is Bowman last week. And listen to everything he says and then try to think, perhaps if you were a moderate Democrat, why you wouldn't want to vote for this guy.
Now, you... Okay, I want to talk to the former principal here. One of the biggest fights going on, sort of culture fights going on in the United States right now, is in some school districts, generally controlled by Republican legislatures, have outlawed the teaching of what they call or consider critical race theory, but rarely is. Lessons on diversity, equity, inclusion. As somebody who used to head a school, what's your response to that? What are the values? What is the value of keeping that in the schools?
First of all, the Republicans are bullies, man. They're trying to bully the entire country into one singular way of thinking, and our strength is our diversity as a nation. You know, that we come from different countries, have different backgrounds, have different experiences. We need to learn more about each other because that's how you bring the country together and people together. And so we have to do everything in our power to push back against banning of books, you know, taking over school districts, fighting back against DEI. We're not going to be our most aspirational selves as a nation unless we embrace diversity. So that's what we have to do.
Poor guy without a job now. How's he going to get those fancy suits? You know how I always say that thing about that thin veneer with progressives? It sounds good, and then you just peel that very thin veneer off, and then actually everything they say is complete nonsense. So, of course, parents don't want critical race theory in schools, and it has nothing to do with conservatives or Republicans. We are sick and tired of you teaching our children to hate people based on the color of their skin or to hate the founding of this country or the principles which this country was founded upon. That's one thing. Parents also don't want diversity, equity, and inclusion in schools because they don't want kids to be discriminated against. On top of, you mentioned book bannings. Yes, parents generally would prefer that, say, a 6-year-old doesn't read a pornographic book in school. I know that's really counter to everything that progressives want because they want to brainwash a generation. And by the way, I'll give the devil his due. They've been kind of good at that. But everything sort of sounds good. And then the one, of course, the prime one for these people, diversity is our strength. And no, it is not. Diversity is nice if it involves diversity of thought, but you people want everyone to bow to the way you think. So it is nice when you have friends that have different cultures and different foods and different music and all of that stuff. That's wonderful. And then it all sort of becomes part of that melting pot in the United States, but we're all bounded together. The pot is actually the pot of freedom. That's the beauty of America. You people are against the founding of the country. You have brought back old school racism, and you actually think that the things that are immutable about us, like our skin color and our gender, are the most important things. So instead of a melting pot, you have basically oil and water in a pot, and you're asking us to drink it while it's scalding hot, and people just aren't into it. Anyway, we're almost done with Bowman, don't worry. But I wanted to show you this video that Connor made yesterday, because when you put the rhetoric of Bowman and AOC and the rest of these clowns, when you juxtapose that with what their base is doing, I think it becomes fairly starkly obvious why this guy will no longer be a congressman soon enough.
What's up, everybody? We are just a few days out till the election day, our primary election on Tuesday. We are here for our brother, Jamaal Bowman.
Ceasefire now, y'all. That's what we're doing. Ceasefire now. Let's get it popping. Stop the ball. The polls are open today. The polls are open tomorrow. Make sure you get out the vote. We're gonna show them who we are. We're gonna show them who we are. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Let's get it poppin'. Let's change the world. It's the many versus the money. We're gonna win. Let's go, baby.
We're gonna win. We're gonna take on AIPAC. I'm gonna kick some Wall Street ass.
Yeah, so sorry, sucker. Nobody bought your bullshit. AOC, you did win yesterday. Of course, you bailed early. You knew Bowman was going to lose, so you were supposed to be at his party in the evening, and you bailed on that thing early. But when you match their rhetoric, think about it again. This guy is a congressman in Westchester screaming about ceasefire now. That's what he decided to make his campaign about. Never mentioned there are now 5 to 8. I think it's still slightly unclear how many American hostages are still hid somewhere in Gaza. Never mentioned their name, never asked for Hamas to just unconditionally surrender, thus getting an actual ceasefire. But his base is a bunch of people that are pro-genocide. And you know what? A certain amount of people in Westchester were like, you know what? We've just had about enough of that. So hopefully, I cannot guarantee it, hopefully we never have to say his name again on this program. I suspect he will be back somehow, but maybe he'll get Mike here. You know what, Jamaal Bowman, I've been making fun of you this whole time. Let me just give you some advice. Get a real job. As far as I can tell, you don't have any particular skills. I guess you were a president or a principal at a school before this. You probably taught the children all of the wrong things, And any parent with their head on straight wouldn't want you anywhere near their kids. But get a real job, like go learn a trade, you know what I mean? Go get out there, become an electrician or a firefighter, something useful. You've done a lot to do damage to America. You owe America, because America made it possible that someone like you with no discernible skills, forged in anger and hatred for this country, could become a congressman. So it didn't work out for you, no sense in being bitter about it. And now just go do something. Paint houses, become a shoe salesman. I mean, there's stuff out there. We'll come up with a list. Anyway, we will connect all of this lunacy to the upcoming event tomorrow, which is presidential debate number 1. Boy, I get the day before my birthday, we get rid of Bowman, big party tonight, and then we get the debate tomorrow. I do love the end of June. We'll talk about that in just a second, but let me talk to you guys about Lumen. Guys, your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into the fuel that keeps you going. Because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates into a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, etc. This is where Lumen comes in. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. It can also track your cycle as well as the onset of menopause and adjust your recommendations to keep your metabolism healthy through hormonal shifts so you can keep your energy and stave off craving. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/Rubin to get 15% off Lumen, or just click the link below. That's lumen.me/Rubin for 15% off your purchase. And now back to me. Okay, so the big debate is tomorrow. And of course, over the last few weeks, I've been trying to illustrate to you that all the system has to defend Joe Biden at this point is fear of Trump. There is very little that they can genuinely point to and say, oh, Joe Biden's doing a great job with this, right? You can't honestly, now I know they can do it, but you can't honestly point to Joe Biden and be like, great job with the border, 7 to 10 million people in 3.5 years. You can't point to Joe Biden and say, great job with the economy, inflation high, interest rates through the roof. You can't point to Joe Biden and say, oh, crime and drugs and the rest of it. Like, we all just know this stuff, blue cities and states. Like, so there's very little they can, oh, and you can't point to Joe Biden and be like, well, okay, maybe he screwed up some of that stuff, but you know, he's energetic and competent and his brain is functioning. You can't do that either. So what do you have to do if you're running cover for the system? You have to scare everybody about Donald Trump. The ladies of The View, and I use the word ladies very generously there, here's Whoopi Goldberg, and she's all class, this one. She's just a classy lady who I'd like to invite to a dinner party.
I don't think that we have to, I think it would be remiss of us to not say, Joe Biden knows how to do this.
Yes.
He knows how to do this. He's quite good at this. And, you know, you can't refute anything with him because he just, when I say him, I mean...
He rambles.
Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
But can I mention one thing? Because Trump is out there calling...
Did you say his name?
I said his name.
Oh,
yeah, it was a trick and it made me do it. But I'm just saying that...
Can you imagine being the poor guy on set who has to clean up the spit? Like Whoopi's disgusting, like the smell of that grotesque weed-laden spit. But it's just nothing. They're afraid of saying his name. Yes, Trump rambles. Have you met your guy? But they are running cover in every way possible. Of course, the other thing that progressives are quite good at is having rules for you that they don't apply to themselves. So this is really fantastic. Here's Sunny Hostin, and as you know, Sunny Hostin found out recently on one of those DNA shows that she comes from slave owners, so I assume she'll have to pay herself reparations. Here she is talking about teachers' unions and school choice, and well, just watch this and then we'll show you the funny part.
And according to the National Education Association, which is actually the largest union in the United States, the labor union, they say that this voucher system actually gives to private school institutions money that is now not accountable to taxpayers. They also say that that means public school students have this: less access to musical instruments, science equipment, modern technology, textbooks, after-school programs. There's zero statistical evidence, zero, that voucher programs improve overall student success. In fact, the opposite.
Okay, so that's interesting. There's Sunny Hostin repeating something from the teachers union. Now, of course, the teachers union wants no choice in schools. They're running a monopoly on public schools, so they don't want charter schools. They don't want private schools. They don't want people to be able to get a voucher to decide which school their kid could go to, because the more choices in the system, actually, the better the quality of education would be, and that's not what the teachers union is in business for. Now, I think you know that much, but what you might also find interesting is that Sunny Hostin there, who's quite literally just reading teachers union talking points about public school. Well, she went to private school and also sent her 2 kids to private school. This is from Corey DeAngelis, we've had on the show, who's one of the premier fighters when it comes to exposing these nonsense. Yes, Sunny Hostin went to private school and sent her kids to private school. Her daughter Paloma, and I do enjoy a Paloma, and we might be having some Palomas tonight. You know, it's tequila, it's grapefruit juice, it's a little bit of lime. And you can put maybe a little club soda in there. It's not even necessary. So Sunny did okay on the name, but $63,000 a year. So Sunny, why would you be doing that? Look at little Paloma. Sunny, why would you send Paloma? Why would you? Now, Sunny, I get it. You're paid millions of dollars to be a paid propagandist on that ridiculous clown show. But if the schools are so great, why would you do that? Unless you're a total freaking hypocrite. Could it be? Speaking of hypocrites, we showed you this video yesterday, but I want to bring it back because the moderators for the debate tomorrow are Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. And Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, no offense, guys, you're Democrats, right? Like you run cover for Democrats. It is what it is. Trump agreed to do the debate. So again, that is what it is as well. But Caroline Leavitt, who's one of Trump's spokespeople, she went on CNN on Cassie Hunt's show. Again, we showed you this yesterday, but you'll see where we're going with it. To criticize, well, she was there to talk about the debate, and then she started criticizing Jake Tapper, which is an absolutely valid thing to do when you're a representative of one of the candidates. Criticizing the forum and the moderators of the debate for their past behavior is completely legit, but Cassie Hunt over on CNN wasn't having any of it.
It takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently, frequently likened President Trump to Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at any point. She is welcome to come back and speak about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will have equal time to Joe Biden when they both join us now at later this week in Atlanta for this debate.
All right, so that's very offensive to a host on CNN that someone would criticize another host on CNN for actually not being a journalist, but for being somebody that launders the lies. But that's really how the whole network is set up. If you want evidence of that quick, this is a slightly shorter version of something we showed you yesterday, but this is Jake Tapper laundering perhaps the biggest, well, it's not the biggest lie because it does involve Russia collusion. So let's say top 3 lie as it pertains to Donald Trump over the last 6 years or so.
I think the issue that Eric was expressing is the reluctance to criticize President Trump for specifically saying things like very fine people were marching in that rally that had swastikas and anti-Semitic chants. And there were not any very fine people in that rally.
That's right.
And it wasn't morally ambiguous. It was morally wrong. That's what the president said.
Well, it wasn't morally ambiguous because Donald Trump, in the very next sentence after saying very fine people on both sides, said this.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly.
Okay, so understand, when Trump's spokesman, Caroline Leavitt, when she goes on CNN, it is completely legit to criticize that, right? And what's even more interesting about it, and we'll get to this on the other side, is that Joe Biden launched his campaign last time when he was running the first time around on that lie. It all could have blown up immediately had we had a decent and honest media, but sadly we do not. But we'll talk about that in just a second. Let me talk to you guys about Armra. Guys, ever wonder why some people just don't get sick? After strengthening my immune system with Armra Colostrum, I'm now one of those people. 48 years old, not bad, guys. The benefits are truly incredible. Colostrum is the first nutrition we receive in life and is an exclusive source of all of the essential nutrients we need in order to thrive. Armra Colostrum is a proprietary concentrate of bovine colostrum that harnesses over 400 functional nutrients to strengthen your immune barriers, your body's inside suit of armor, and first line of defense against harmful particles from the environment that can trigger inflammation and make you sick. It strengthens immunity, ignites metabolism, fortifies gut health, promotes hair growth and skin radiance, empowers fitness, performance, and recovery. Armra Colostrum TM strengthens all 4 layers of your gut wall where 80% of your immune cells are housed. It's a rich, exclusive source of immunoglobulins, antibodies that optimize your immune defense during cold and flu season. And their premium grass-fed bovine colostrum concentrate activates cellular health for your resilience and recovery. In clinical trials, bovine colostrum was found to be at least 3 times more effective than the flu vaccine at preventing the flu. We've worked out an exclusive deal for you guys. Lock in a special time limited monthly auto ship rate of $99 and get a free starter kit on your first order. This kit includes an Armra carafe and travel pack to kickstart your transformation. Go to tryarmra.com/Rubin to get this exclusive offer valued at over $150 for only $99. That's tryarmra.com/Rubin. And now back to me. All right, so Jake Tapper, he has been pushing these hoaxes constantly. Phoenix, roll with me for a second there.
Sorry, James Carville.
Yeah, he has been pushing this constantly. And was there anyone in the mainstream media over the last couple of years that maybe debunked it? We'll give you a short version of it because I know you've seen it before.
Were there good people on both sides at Charlottesville? I don't know. Did I hear that or did I make that up? That Trump said there are good people on both sides.
He didn't say that.
He did not.
He said it, but a sentence later he said, I'm not talking about the white supremacists and the neo-Nazis.
Yeah, I have to.
Okay, I know I'm drubbing you guys in the head with this, but now I want to show you something that we've only shown you once or twice before, but this is literally the campaign launch video that Joe Biden put out years ago. Again, keeping in mind that he did not run when he was finishing up 2 terms as vice president under Barack Obama. They let it go to Hillary because nobody really liked Joe Biden. It was where he was not even liked. He was just sort of a nothing at that point, and it was going to be Hillary's turn, right? Hillary lost to Obama in the primary years before, so he didn't run. But then they dredged him up again because of Charlottesville, and it was a freaking lie. And his campaign should have burned the second they put this ad out to launch the thing in the first place.
Charlottesville is also home to a defining moment for this nation in the last few years. It was there on August of 2017 we saw Klansmen and white supremacists and neo-Nazis come out in the open. Their crazed faces, illuminated by torches, veins bulging and bearing the fangs of racism, chanting the same anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s. And they were met by a courageous group of Americans, and a violent clash ensued. And a brave young woman lost her life. And that's when we heard the words of the President of the United States that stunned the world and shocked the conscience of this nation. He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides. Very fine people on both sides? With those words, the President of the United States assigned a moral equivalence between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand against it. And in that moment, I knew the threat to this nation was unlike any I had ever seen in my lifetime.
Isn't that really remarkable? Like, years have gone by since that came out, and there are still people who believe that. And that Joe Biden, with all of his Botox and fillers and whatever they've done to make him look like this, and his eyes are like this and everything else, and he looks significantly tighter and worse now, that he's able to stare into the camera and lie to you like that. That is absolutely incredible. And nobody, not Jake Tapper, not George Stephanopoulos, not Rachel Maddow, they all knew they could get away with it. They all knew exactly what Donald Trump said the sentence later. We just showed it to you. Why was I showing it to you years ago? And by the way, it wasn't just me. Scott Adams was probably the biggest one trying to debunk this thing for years. But it basically never got into the mainstream media until I did it on Real Time. So that shows you there is a system in place to launder the lies. Now, of course, what comes with that is a certain degree of censorship online, because if it wasn't for the online people, then the lies could keep going and nobody would know. But now the online people are actually able to get unedited video. They're able to show you where things cut off when they shouldn't have cut off. They're able to show you the next sentence, et cetera, et cetera. And what that leads to is a situation like we're going to have tomorrow, where the system has to figure out other ways to run cover for Joe Biden, and we'll see what those are. But let's talk a little bit about the upcoming debate, because they've sent Corinne Jean-Pierre, diversity hire, KJP, they've sent her out there to start prepping people for what Joe Biden might do. So we'll talk about that in just a second, but let me talk to you about base spike trio real quick. Guys, AstraZeneca recently admitted in court that its COVID vaccine could result in life-threatening blood clots. This admission by AstraZeneca is the first of its kind and won't be the last after the damage we've seen these vaccines cause. The question now is, if you got the vaccine, what can you do about it? Well, Dr. Peter McCullough and his team at the Wellness Company have been leading experts in treating vaccine injury and long COVID since early on, and their research has shown that nattokinase, alongside bromelain and curcumin, derived from turmeric, has great potential in detoxing side effects. Dr. McCullough's published base spike detox protocol combines powerful nattokinase, bromelain, and curcumin with incredible results in the patient population. To date, tens of thousands of people have followed Dr. McCullough's protocol and taken base spike trio from the Wellness Company, and the results have been nothing short of miraculous. Purchasing each ingredient can be pricey, but with the Wellness Company's unique formulation, you save 35%. In Dr. McCullough's own words, isn't it interesting? Natural substances to combat this man-made disaster. And it is interesting, a man-made virus and a man-made vaccine both wreaking havoc on unassuming population, but finally there's hope. Base Spike Detox Trio is this gold standard for combating spike protein, a daily regimen to help you get back to feeling your best. Reclaim your health by going to twc.health/Rubin and use code Rubin to save 15% and get free shipping. And now back to me, so let's get right into it. What's happening right now? Well, the Democrats are seeding the media layer, and they're just trying to manage expectations for Biden and tell you how he's soft and he's going to do the right thing when it comes to the debate, and Donald Trump is very scary.
When there is an opportunity for this president to speak to millions of Americans, he shows up and he meets the moment. So obviously the president's going to look forward to Thursday doing just that, laying out what he normally does, what he's done the last 3.5 years, how he's going to continue to build on the economy. We're talking about historic numbers in creating jobs, low unemployment rate, and not forgetting that we can't leave communities that have been normally left behind, right? This president met and led this moment, and it is about him. It is not about him. It is about the American people. It is not about what political, grievances he may have. It's not about trying to get back at people. It's about making sure that he stands with majority of Americans, and not even majority of Americans, all of Americans. The president has said consistently he is a president for Americans in red states and in blue state. It does not matter. He will meet the moment and deliver what is truly needed and what they want to see in order to make sure that we have a fair and just nation.
All right. Now, first off, I know you know this, but that's not journalism, and that's not a place of journalism. MSNBC's on air to lie. You've got Al Sharpton, who's deflating just listening to her, and you're putting on a spokesperson to just give their talking points. That's all you're doing. You might, if you were a place of journalism, go through the things that she said. Oh, is it true that the economy is doing well? Well, the markets are doing well. But why are interest rates so high? Why is inflation so high? Oh, he added more jobs than anybody? Was there a weird thing? Did you lock a whole bunch of people in their house that might have caused people to lose their jobs before that? Et cetera, et cetera. But of course they don't do that. And this idea that he brings people together and he's going to be a president for everybody, red and blue and everything else, is a complete farce. But don't take my word for it. Take Joe Biden's word for it, alongside a backdrop that Emperor Palpatine himself would have been proud of.
And now, America must choose to move forward or to move backwards, to build a future or obsess about the past, to be a nation of hope and unity and optimism, or a nation of fear, division, and of darkness.
MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. But together we can choose a different path.
They thrive on chaos. They live in the shadows. But together we'll do some great stuff, guys. How is this man president of the United States? Well, how is he president? He gets hard questions like this. He got this one yesterday about how he's going to win the debate.
What do you feel like you have to accomplish to be successful on Tuesday? What do you have to do to win the debate?
Just tell the truth. Thank you.
Just tell the truth. It's like the guy wouldn't know what's true if the truth was a frying pan and it hit him in the face. So we were putting the show together this morning. We were like, all right, well, that's Joe Biden saying tell the truth. Then it was like, all right, can we just find a video of Joe Biden lying? And there's a million of them, right? There's a million lying about Trump, lying about very fine people, lying about Russia collusion, lying about Ukraine, lying about his son. Like, it's just lying about unemployment numbers, like the whole thing. We found this one. It's sort of random. This is from years ago. It's just kind of Joe Biden being just like a smug douchebag. So I don't know that this quite goes under lying. This is more under smug douchebag than lying specifically. Anyway.
But in terms of, well, this is the way, the press will respond, who gives a goddamn how you respond? I really mean it. I don't give a goddamn how you respond.
It seems like every 10 minutes there's a shift in sort of what the strategy is. Again,
who gives a shit? Whether you think or anybody thinks they're going to stick to a message. What is important is what's coming out of his mouth. The story is what's coming out of his mouth. Not whether Joe Lockhart got trumped by me or anybody else to change the message. That ain't the story. That's your story. But that ain't the story anybody around here cares about. Anyway, see you guys. I gotta go.
Look, I don't even know what that clip is exactly, but I think it illustrates a point. I'm also not even sure what point it's illustrating, but I think you get the point. The man, he's a liar. We could have shown you the corn pop thing, and there was a little kid who was stroking his leg, and that's when he learned to lay pipe or something. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, Johnny MAGA had this. This is kind of interesting because they can't get Joe Biden out. He's been shut down for the last 5 days while he's resting. While he's resting for the debate, Biden is trying to stop his losses in Virginia by sending Jill to Virginia Beach on debate day, the day before Trump's massive rally. Can't wait to see the comparison of the crowds. And it is interesting. Look, the crowd thing is a bit of a catch-22 right now, because Trump had huge crowds last time and Biden had no crowds, but of course that was to the backdrop of COVID. But I do fear to some extent that we're going to see sort of the same thing this year, which is that there will be massive Trump rallies all over the place. Everyone you know will either be very happy to vote for Trump or kind of getting there to vote for Trump or whatever. You're going to pretty much know nobody that's excited to vote for Biden because the progressive base hates him. They hate Trump a little bit more, but they might do it. The average Dem is actually shifting into a more moderate position, and Trump is really a Democrat of 30 years ago. And then we'll wake up the day after the election and somehow Biden will have won. But I don't even want to put, I guess I just did put that into the ether. I prefer not to. But anyway, you can't focus too much on the rally thing. But now I want to show you a quick video because there is something interesting happening here where even the mainstream is having to acknowledge that the Trump movement, which represents something much bigger than Trump, it now does represent fighting the system and seeing the unjustness that the system is doing to Trump. And he's just an avatar for the rest of us, right? That's why his line, he was right years ago. It looks like they're coming for me, but I'm just the one standing in the way. They're really coming for you. So I want to show you, this is going to start with a quick clip of the Trump-Hillary debate from years ago, and then it's going to throw into a CNN clip of Frank Luntz, who's a pollster, basically saying that pundits have it wrong as it pertains to Trump because they can't hide it much longer.
If I win, I am going to instruct my attorney general to get a special prosecutor to look into your situation.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
What is it about these moments? What is it about those moments you think struck a chord and had such an impact? What does this represent?
Because nobody expected Donald Trump to say that. And the pundits really condemned him for doing it. And our voters said, wait a minute, he's holding her accountable. It's about time that politicians are held accountable. That's one of the great frustrations in America. That's why we're so angry, because we think politicians will say and do anything and then actually do exactly the opposite of what they promise.
Even if he's kind of suggesting would be like directing his Justice Department to go after a political opponent.
And that's exactly what the pundits said. And the voters said, he's actually going to do this. I want someone who's that tough, who's going to look me straight in the eye. And the opposite was Barack Obama. Looking people and saying, I get you, I understand you, I appreciate you, I applaud you. Voters are looking for someone to speak to them, to look at them, to mean what they say what they mean, and do what they promise to do.
Luntz should have turned to the camera and then been like, I'm not only the president of Hair Club for Men, I'm also a member. I mean, that is the worst toupee ever, dude. I know it's not about that, but the point is that what he's showing you there is that people are recognizing something. For all of the flaws with Trump and all of the things he says, and it's a little loose and he insults people. And by the way, he really has been wrangling that in. Like, we're not seeing the crazy attacks. I do sense, we addressed it yesterday in the post-game show, somebody asked me about it. There does seem to be a tightening of the message by Trump. I think he's seeing that himself, that it makes sense. And I think because the energy is going in his way, it makes it easier not to be firing all over the place all the time, right? But Luntz, toupee aside, is making a point, which is that Trump is able to connect with people, and that will happen tomorrow. There will be an emotional connection, whether you like it or not, right? He can make you emote in a way that you're like, yeah, he got her, and then for some people it's like, oh, it's terrible. Biden, everyone will be watching with the same exact feeling, whether you love Biden or hate Biden or you're completely indifferent. Everyone will be watching going, when is he going to break down? Will he be okay in an hour from now? Can he finish this sentence? What are they going to do when he starts losing his mind? And just know, they are drugging him. There is some cocktail. Somebody knows it will eventually come out. This is not a conspiracy theory. He is obviously on drugs for what's going on. We all know it. The system has to run cover for it. But the fundamental difference between watching Trump and being like, what's he going to say? Maybe it'll be funny, maybe it'll be crazy, who knows? And the feeling that you get, and look, this is cult of personality when it comes to the president, right? So this has nothing to do with policy. But one guy, you're like, oh, it's kind of funny, it's a little bit of stand-up. And the other guy is like, will he finish the sentence without his eyeball exploding? That is a fundamental difference. And the Democrats also have another problem, which is that their messaging has been horrible and the base has gone so crazy that they don't know what to do with the entire party at this point. So James Carville, he's the guy that I was trying to debunk the very fine people thing when I was on Real Time. He's still a Democrat activist. And here he is laying out what the problems are with the Democrat Party.
I think Democratic culture has too many preachy females. It's too much. Don't eat hamburgers. Don't watch football. All right. Wear condom. Like, man, leave me alone. You okay? I got a goddamn life to lead. You know, guy works at a tire repair shop in suburban Atlanta. Yeah, working 50 hours a week, you know, making $16.50 an hour. And he wants to watch the football game. He wants to smoke dope and drink beer. And then everybody's telling him he's slothful, and they reject that. And, you know, I just think some of it is cosmopolitan condensation, if you will. Like, you need to lead the kind of life we lead, not the kind of life you lead. And it pisses people off.
Well, that's across the board. That's black, white. That's a big part of Trump. That's a big part of Trump.
It's Hispanic. We're going to lose Hispanic males.
Yeah.
We're going to lose them.
And that's on that male-female issue. That's on that. I mean, you know, it very much, they want to see the strong, this is a generalization, but strong dominant male in a household. I mean, you know.
We're losing that guy. He just wants to get home from work and watch a football game and crack open a beer and smoke a blunt and raw dog his wife, bend her over the coffee table and bang the hell out of her. And then her sister's uncle's cousin's nephew's niece comes over and he bangs her too and he puts it on OnlyFans, and that's what he's trying to do, and we're preaching to the... And yet he's the guy making sense in the party. Do you see how insane this is? It's so freaking insane. And they could have had another guy make sense in the party, but they were so unbelievably horrible to him that the day he announced he was running for president as a Democrat, I said on this show he will not be a Democrat by the end of it, and he's not anymore. He's running as an independent. Of course, I'm talking about RFK Jr. And here he is talking about Biden's obvious cognitive decline, and that there could be a problem with having a president with, say, dementia, Alzheimer's, or Parkinson's while we're on the verge of World War III.
Oh, the Democrats are stupid. The DNC is a very stupid group of people, and they make very, very big strategic blunders. And one of their strategic blunders was to bet all of their chips on President Biden and not just have a primary where they chose the best candidate to beat Donald Trump. Instead they chose a candidate who has all of these very, very clear cognitive deficits. And, Americans, you look at President Biden, I worry. Every time I see him on TV, I think all of us, it's like watching your 5-year-old play on a jungle gym for the first time. You're like, oh my God, I hope, he doesn't fall or something. But the bad part of it is, if you look at this man, and, we're right closer now to nuclear exchange than at any time since 1962. You say President Biden is the guy who has the football. He has to make the call. They wake him up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You have 6 minutes to make the call. 6 minutes to decide whether to retaliate, to send the missiles up. So, he has to make a call that's going to affect all of our children, all of humanity.
So look, you may have your issues, whatever they are, with RFK. My audience obviously leans, let's say, a little more right-leaning at this point. So there are probably things you disagree with him on abortion, and perhaps on the environment, what he would do as it relates to climate change or whatever. But everything he said there is exactly right. The analogy of watching a 5-year-old on the jungle gym is right. I can tell you right now, Justin is really big on climbing on the back of the couch, and he can fall over, so we put some pillows down there. But it's this tightrope where you're watching him, and it's like at any moment something bad could happen, and we've taken some precautions so that he won't hurt himself if he falls, and we want to give him as much leeway as possible. But that is exactly what it's like watching Joe Biden. Everything that he is saying, you're just waiting for it to derail. And yes, what do you think Joe Biden is like at 3 a.m? If they genuinely, imagine if something horrific was happening, and they had to run into his bedroom at the White House and wake him up at 3 a.m. and be like, Mr. President, some shit just went down. We're going to have to launch the nukes. Are you cool? And it's like, he may not even know where he is. That's where we're at the moment. I want to show you one other clip of RFK because he was on Piers Morgan yesterday. And it's interesting because he is still running. He's still trying to get on all the ballots. But here he is basically saying that Trump probably will win.
I'm disappointed you're not going to be there. But given you're not going to be there, because I think you should be there, and you would definitely add some spice to it, but given you're not going to be there, who do you think is going to win the debate?
I think, well, I don't like to make predictions, but I would predict that Trump will win because I think Donald Trump is good. He could win a prize for the greatest debater in modern American history. Probably since Lincoln Douglas. And I'm not saying that based upon my own assessment. I'm saying that based upon watching him run through 16 Republicans one at a time and just demolish them in his debates. And he has all of these extraordinary techniques. He's extremely entertaining to watch. He's an entertainer. He's a brilliant entertainer, and nothing phases him. And he has extraordinary debating techniques, so I don't think it's possible for President Biden to beat him in that debate.
All right, so again, that's just kind of right. It's kind of obvious. Now, of course, the fear factor in that, or the trap door in that always, is that if someone is expected to do really well and someone's expected to do incredibly poorly, and then the guy who's expected to do poorly does decently, and the guy who's supposed to crush it doesn't crush it, then the whole narrative is flipped. So there's a weird thing happening with that. But it's hard to believe. Again, I don't know what supercharged drugs they'll put him on for tomorrow. Maybe they've got a new special cocktail. maybe something crazy happens, but it does seem like Trump will win. So then what does the system have to do? Because Trump will have the crowds, Trump will have the kind of cool people online, Biden is losing Hollywood, the base is calling him Genocide Joe. So what does the system have to do? It has to ramp up the fear. So I want to throw you back to The View. I apologize in advance. We're jumping back to The View. And Anthony Fauci was on last week. As you know, he's promoting this book, and guy's making a shit ton of money after everything he's done. And listen to Sunny, listen to the insane fear-mongering as it pertains to Trump and COVID, when her anger should be directed at the guy that's sitting next to her. But just listen to this.
But my husband lost both of his parents, two doctors, within 3 days of each other from the pandemic. Thank you. We remember those pandemic briefings. I remember the injection of bleach, perhaps, the hydroxychloroquine, dangerous recommendations. You were particularly disturbed, I read, by his refusal to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Now, what was this time like for you, having to contradict the President of the United States, and what should everyone know about how he handled the crisis? Because I blame him for my in-law's death.
Yeah. Well, you know, the people who became very angry with me among his staff, people like Peter Navarro and Mark Meadows and others, thought that I was doing that because I had some sort of antipathy to the president, which I did not. And it was very painful for me. I have a great deal of respect for the presidency of the United States of America. I've served 7 presidents, so it wasn't like, wow, isn't this cool that I'm contradicting the president? It was very, very painful, but I had to do it. And when he got up and said, well, it's a recommendation, but I'm not going to do it, I choose not to do it, I considered that a missed opportunity to use the bully pulpit of the presidency to get people to do things that was for their own safety. And one of the things that they mentioned to us when things got down and you felt that the world was caving in on you was illegitimate non carborundum, which means don't let the bastards wear you down.
It's incredible. Years after all of this, after subsequently admitting that masks don't work, which we all kind of knew because everybody would walk up to you and if they had something to say to you, they'd take their mask down, and masks were never fully, airtight and all of the rest of it. And he admitted in emails 2 months into the vaccine, into the pandemic, that the masks don't work, and we know that the vaccine wasn't a vaccine, and we know that they completely made up 6 feet social distancing and 12 days to 14 days. What was it? 14 days? Was it 15 days? Who the hell even knows at this point? It was all bullshit. And years later, they have the guy selling a book sitting there, and they're treating him like the king. Trump said the recommendation is masks. Trump was relying on the people that, in essence, he was supposed to rely on when it came to a pandemic. I think Trump would admit this in a certain way. He got kind of rolled by the deep state. And the problem is that if we ever really had a pandemic, let's say something that was 20 times worse than whatever you think the worst version of COVID was, there are going to be a whole bunch of people that will not buy any of it. Probably me included. And I don't know what that does for the health of a society, but that's not Trump's fault. It's because you people lied about everything. And when I'm talking about you people, and not only am I talking about you, Fauci and Birx, but I'm talking about all you women at the table who are still helping launder the lies. Now, the good part, of course, is that people are not buying this anymore. People are not buying the BS. Here's Joe Rogan with comedian Tyler Fischer going after Fauci and see which makes more sense. What Fauci is saying there now, or when 2 comedians sit down to talk about the nonsense.
Interesting little thing, yeah.
Yeah.
We had segregation in this country based on medicine, and then we're back to pretending like it never happened.
Well, at least now they're having hearings on it.
Yeah, 9 years later.
Those.
Fauci was on TV the other day going, it could have come from the lab. It may have been a leak. I want to stay open-minded. And on CNN, they're like, yeah, okay. Like, what? Did you see all that leaked stuff coming out of his audio?
Yeah.
You got to make pressure people. You got to...
Yeah, they'll drop their ideological bullshit when they can't work.
Dude.
It's been shown when you make their lives difficult, they'll drop their ideological bullshit.
Just give them another booster. Boost them up.
Imagine saying that about people's jobs, that you're going to force them into making a decision with their own body. And not only that, but mandate it. And not only that, as a doctor, know that some people are allergic to some of the components, some of the actual ingredients in these vaccines.
Sure.
So again, who's being more honest? Is it the ladies of The View sitting with the guy, or is it two comedians just honestly assessing what's going on? I like how they're both doing, Fauci has a very kind of New York accent. He's Italian, but they're giving him like a cooler, like a mafia accent, like, take the jab, don't take the jab, I don't care, where's the sausage, leave the veal, okay. Now, the cool part, of course, of all of this is that it's not just that the partisan people see things differently. It's that apolitical center, which largely is lefties because culture is to the left, apolitical people are waking up. Tyler Winklevoss, the Winklevoss twins, they were two of the original investors in Facebook way back when, if you saw that movie, The Social Network, but they're big VC guys in Silicon Valley, who I don't think were Trump supporters, and Tyler Winklevoss just tweeted this: I just donated 1 million in Bitcoin, which is 15.47 Bitcoin, to Donald Trump and will be voting for him in November. Here's why. Over the past few years, the Biden administration has openly declared war against crypto. It has weaponized multiple government agencies to bully, harass, and sue the good actors in our industry in an effort to destroy it. This administration's actions have been nothing short of an unprecedented abuse of power, wielded entirely for twisted political gain at the complete expense of innovation, the American taxpayer, and the American economy. There is nothing the Biden administration can do or say at this point to pretend otherwise. And I should note, guys, we showed you some video last week. Donald Trump went on the All In podcast. These are basically a bunch of sort of moderate left hosts, big Silicon Valley guys. I would say David Sachs is the closest thing to a conservative there, but they all now are supporting Donald Trump. So that is just, again, it's just a signal of average people who are innovating, doing interesting things, actually building things, and they want the government off their back, and they're sick of the lies and they're not buying it anymore. All right, people, that's it for my birthday show. If you want to give me a birthday gift, why not join us over at rubinreport.locals.com. We've got a post-game show in 30 seconds, and then I'm going to take a nap later today. I'm going to hydrate well because there's going to be a lot of tequila and I believe some Wagyu tomahawks served over here this evening. Thank you for watching. Thank you guys for all the birthday wishes and all that good stuff, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception, Abraham Lincoln, possible exception.